Alright guys, so welcome to today's video, and in today's video we will continue our work on this time stop right here. And as reference or just to gain some ideas, I have watched my old The World video in which I have also created this time stop feature, and I have checked out the method right there to, recreate it in some way. And in the last episode, I was about to use get descendants to, just loop through the whole workspace and to anchor every child in there. And I was like asking myself why I did not use get descendants back then, and I've just understood the significance of avoiding to use it. So I'm honest with you, I back then did not really know about get descendants, therefore I tried to recreate that feature. And while recreating that feature, I have literally encountered an advantage which we have to use within this whole context, okay? And I'm gonna try to point this advantage out. So let me first of all define a function called anchor, okay? And this right here is going to contain two arguments, okay? So the first argument is going to be the child which we are going to anchor, and the second one is going to be the player's name, okay? And this function right here is going to be recursive, means this function is going to use itself in itself. So when we have this function right here, we are going to call this function another time, and then this whole show is just going to go on until there is no child left to apply this anchor onto. All right, so the first thing which we want to do is that we want to check whether the child we're currently at is either a mesh part or a part. So that's the first pretty important requirement. So I have written we, but I meant child. Now, the second requirement is that whether there is no instance inside of this child called anchored before. That's the second requirement, and I've once again written B instead of child. And I'm gonna explain this to you later on, because it will not make sense to you now, but it will pretty soon. All right, so this is it for this anchor function. So let me go through it. So we'll receive a child and the p name. So this child right here is an instance, obviously, so not a real child, but that's just the term for an instance which has a parent, okay? And this p name is going to stand for our player's name. So first thing which is going to happen is that we have this check right here. This check right here is checking whether the child we have is a mesh part or a part, because we only want to work with these two parts. There are also parts like a truss part, for example, wedge part, whatsoever. You can also include them inside of here if you want to, but I'm not going to use them in my game, therefore I'll just leave them out. Second requirement is that the child's parent's name does not equal our name. This basically means that we try to leave our character untouched by this whole process. Okay, so our character right here is an exception when it comes to this whole anchoring. Now, next thing is that we are checking whether there is no instance called anchored before, and this child was anchored before we actually manually anchored it through this function process. So this basically is important because we have instances such as buildings which have been anchored before, okay? So if you anchor them once again, there is no problem with it. But if you try to unanchor all of those instances which are supposed to be affected by the time stop, then you will eventually unanchor those buildings as well, although they have been anchored from the beginning on. Therefore, we need to differentiate in between those instances which have been anchored from the beginning, from start on, and those instances which have been anchored due to the time stop. And we basically do that by creating this instance right here, which is an int value and which name is anchored before. And we are putting this one inside of the child, means the instance, which has been anchored from the start. Now, after this, we are just basically anchoring that child, and then we are checking whether there are other children, other instances inside of this child, inside of this one child. So we basically get children, and then adding this hashtag in front of it basically returns the total amount of instances which are inside of this child. And when that amount is greater than 0, means there are some other instances, then we want to loop through this child and then anchor every other instance inside of that child, okay? And we just basically call this anchor function once again, passing the v, means the child we're currently at, and the player's name as those two arguments. Now, the next thing is basically the unanchor function, which is the total opposite. So we are going to check whether the instance is a mesh part or a part as well. And the character is unaffected. And we now want to check whether there are instances called anchored before inside of a child, because if that's the case... No, wait. We want to check if there is no instance such as this one. Because if that's the case, then we want to make that instance anchored false, and we want to apply this function right here. Okay. Now, let me call those two functions actually within this time stop thing right here. So fire time stop. Now, we will start with anchor, and this will start with the workspace and basically the player's name. Now, let me play this whole thing. Let me see if it works. So we are able to move. Okay, so if we, if we add this part right here, then it is of course going to be, so it is of course going to be not anchored because we have added that one later. But if we basically add some zombies, so NPCs which are supposed to follow us, then we should see that they're not going to move anymore once we activate that time stop. Let's activate the time stop. Let's see if the animations of this one still do play. And yeah, they do play. He's still moving. Okay. Did not work out as I've expected to. Okay, so nothing seems to work out. funny thing. Very, very funny. Wait, the problem is that we... Okay. Wait. Okay, yeah, so the problem is pretty simple. So we have to move this thing out of here because this part of the code is basically the part which passes this anchor function onto other instances. And, you know, the workspace is not a mesh part and not a part as well. Therefore, this whole process just stops at that point. Therefore, we have to move this if statement down here. And we have to do the same with this one. Otherwise, those things will not work out. Okay, let's play this thing once again. And let's hope that it works now. Okay, so I'm unable to move myself. So this should not happen. Okay, so I'm like... Wait. I'm like completely unanchored, but... Okay, so my stand is anchored. Okay. Maybe we should just check whether this instance's name is not player's name as well. Okay. Okay, so this should be that easy. Now, let's see how it works now. Perfectly fine. Very, very good. Very, very good. Very, very good. Now. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. What we could do is that we could like wait 10 seconds and then this whole process just automatically, or this whole time stuff just automatically stops. So this could be one possible solution to deal with this time stop, you know. But we could also script it like whether you click on the U key once again, that the whole time stop just stops from itself. So this could also be a solution. It actually depends on you. So if you guys want to see a video on me creating this time stop when you like press the U key, then comment so, and then I'll consider creating such a video. We also have to destroy this axe right here, and we have to re-add those animations. So just copy that code. Okay guys, so with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, share this video to all of your friends. Leave me feedback in the comment section, guys. Take care and see you in the next episode. So let's see if this works. Just pretty quickly. And it of course does. Alright, see ya.